Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. We've got a little Texas versus Ohio State, the preview on tap for y'all today. Let's talk a little bit. I'll start us off here, Chris, with Ohio State. The Buckeyes coming off of two ass whoopings over Tennessee and then followed up by that ass whipping they had against Oregon. I got to talk about it, man. Will Howard has played exceptionally well in both those games, but their star player this year, a guy that they've really, as the playoffs have gotten here, have really gone towards and looked towards is Jeremiah Smith. He's the guy that, you turn on the tape, you start looking at all the analysts talking about it. Jeremiah Smith, they said, if he was to go declare for the draft right now, they're saying he'd be the number one wide receiver taken. And I find that hard pressed to argue. I mean, the guy has taken advantage of busted coverages. He's been able to make some really impressive catches. I mean, he catches the ball out of the backfield, looks like a running back, just like a Reggie Bush, and he's gone type of guy, with whatever he's trying to do, not behind the backfield, but you know what I'm saying, like behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's just done a really great job, I feel as if, at doing all that. We know that, right? Texas is going to have to figure out a way to shut him down in this game. I mean, they weren't able to shut down our boy Scattaboo last week. We know he kind of got loose and was able to do some things. Obviously, Cam Scatterbo plays running back. We understand that. This is a whole different thing here. Speaking of running backs, Ohio State's got two damn good ones. And Travion Henderson, they've just been able to really do what they've wanted to do, I feel like, all throughout these playoffs on offense, Chris. Both of them have just been, between Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, have been able to really kind of keep churning and keep eating. This offense, I think, when we got into the playoffs, I kept asking myself, can they, could they hit that gear? Could they hit their full potential? They just look like they didn't click. And I think what happened when they hit the playoffs, Chris, is they said, look, all year long, we've tried to keep everybody happy, kind of like in the NFL, right, where we're trying to feed this guy, feed that guy, whatever. They've gone to the playoffs, and what they've done is they've done it beautifully. Is they said, look, we're going to get our best players the ball, and that's both running backs and Jeremiah Smith. Everybody else, if you get to eat, you get to eat. We're just going to go ahead and do it. And it's worked out beautiful for them. They paid all that money for these kids. They're putting them to damn good use, right? So hats off to them. Defensively, again, they've shut people down to a point where they get such a big lead. You become one-dimensional. You got to throw the ball. You can't really run the ball when you're down 3 scores in a gotta-have-it game. I mean, their defense has been pretty clamps. They give up a touchdown there towards the end of the first half against Oregon, but they were already up by multiple scores at that point. The game was pretty much out of hand at that point. So, it is what it is. How does that all play when you look at playing a team like Texas? I'll be honest. I'll give you my thoughts right here, right now, and we'll jump in towards the end of the video and kind of talk a little more about the score prediction. Texas has struggled. Texas has struggled last week against Arizona State, a team that they were, to me, more superior than. They played down to their competition. Now, can Texas play up to Ohio State? I'm not exactly sure. Chris is going to tell us about that here in a second. But if that same team that I watched play in the Peach Bowl down there, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl or whatever the hell it was, comes to play like that, we might have some problems.
Yeah, no, I agree with you here. As far as Texas goes, man, I mean, they've done what they needed to do in this playoffs. Obviously, they're 2-0, Christian, but, they beat Clemson the first round. And then obviously you talked about a little bit there was the big win over Arizona State. Now, Texas did have a 16-point lead in that game. Arizona State came back in the second half with our boy, Scattaboo and rallied them back into that game. Obviously, Quinn Ewers made some big throws in overtime to seal it. But that was a very good football game overall to watch. And on the offensive side of the ball for Texas, he's facing his old team here, which is kind of cool. You don't see this a lot with all the chips on the line. He's going to have to play probably, in my opinion, his best game he's ever played here. You talked about the Ohio State defense. Huge issue for Texas, and they need to get some help here is the ground game. Where the hell did that go last week against Arizona State? I mean, they had a grand total of 53 yards. This is after they rushed the ball for over damn near 300 yards on Clemson. Now, I know Clemson's defense isn't a world-beating defense, but still, they're going to have to get a ground game going somehow against this vaunted Ohio State defense. One positive, though, for Texas, like I said, I expect Texas to throw a ball a lot in this one. Matthew Golden, Ryan Wingo, number one target, what's his name? Gunnar Helm, the tight end there for Texas. They're going to have to come up big here and make some big catches, obviously. This is where I have some questions. I know everybody's bragged, Christian, about Texas's defense all year round. You talked about it. Cam Scatterbo ran all over them, out-physicaled them. That's the strength of Texas has been that run defense. I got some issues and some questions there as far as Texas's defense goes up front. They gave up over 200 yards on the ground and nearly 300 through the air in that game against Arizona State, of all teams. Now, I'm not shitting on Arizona State, but Texas was a big favorite for a reason in that game. This is my thing, and I'm going to talk about this prediction here. I've thought about this a lot, Christian. I guess I got to ask the audience, and you can let me go down in the comments. Can Texas, how many points do you think Texas can score in this game? Like, personally, they're going to have to score close to 30. We know Ohio State is going to put up points, especially the way they've been playing. I just don't see that happening with Texas in this. I don't think they can score that many. The other part of this is, you've talked about it, alluded to it, Ohio State has been on fire. Nobody's been able to stop them. Even if Ohio State, in my opinion, plays at 90% of their potential in this game, they're going to win by 2 scores. That's where I'm at on this. I think Ohio State's that much better than everybody in the country. And that's why me personally, and I know Christian's talked about Ohio State as well, that's why we kind of harped on them all year. We haven't seen them play up to the level that they're capable of. And now they finally have turned it on. And we've seen the proof's in the pudding, what they've done all season. So as far as my score prediction goes, I got Ohio State 38. Texas 17.
Yeah, Chris, I have Texas 28, Ohio State 35.